Introducing, out of the red corner, wearing the orange and black trunks, hailing from Cutoff, Louisiana, they are the king of Down the Bayou podcasts, always ready to turn Facebook drama into a good time. Introducing the undisputed world champions, the Group Chat Podcast.
Coming up on this episode of Inside the Ring, presented by the Group Chat Pod, we sit down with former professional boxing champion Homer the Nature Boy Gibbons for a conversation that goes far beyond the record books. Homer takes us through his journey from the amateurs to the professional ranks, shares stories involving Evander Holyfield, Duva, George Benton, Hector Camacho, and Jean Pascal, and opens up about the politics, pressure, and reality of life in professional boxing. Then, the conversation takes an unexpected turn when longtime rival Chad Broussard drops in to revisit their unforgettable three-fight rivalry in Lafayette, Louisiana. 3 fights that started as competition and ended in a lifelong friendship built on respect. This is boxing history, behind-the-scenes stories, and one hell of a reunion, all in one episode.
Welcome to the Group Chat Podcast, Inside the Ring, our second episode, and we are graced with a boxing, and I'll call him a legend. He's probably going to tell me no, but proud to call this man a friend of mine. Got a chance to meet him probably a decade or so ago, Mr. Homer Gibbons. He has traveled the world in professional boxing. He's fought a who's who, great career. Retired now, soaking up the sun, living the good life. Even got the Hagler Hearn shirt on today. He's ready to go. Homer, appreciate you jumping on the Group Chat Podcast, man. How's life?
Life is good. Like I say, I'm a father of 7 children, and they're growing up way too fast, and I'm just enjoying being dad.
That's awesome. I'm right there with you. I know, like I said, you and I met in Lafayette, and we'll talk about that a good bit, but life has changed so much for me since that time frame, and all far the better. We'll start it off. Everybody's favorite question: what in the world got you into the sport of professional boxing?
Wrestling.
Now we can talk even more.
I watched all that stuff growing up, man. I mean, my grandfather and I used to watch every week. We watch wrestling, or we go to the Omni and watch wrestling live. As a 5-6-year-old kid, everything I saw, I believed was real. So anybody that came over to our house, like my dad's friends, I wrestled with them as a 6-year-old kid. They come out with a move called the Brain Buster. You got on the top rope, and you jumped off, sailed through the air, and headbutted a man on the ground. When I saw my dad come home from doing construction, lay on the floor, watch the TV, I was like, oh, it's time. This is time. I'm about to perfect this move. And so I jumped off the couch and headbutted him, pow! And he grabbed his head, made sure he wasn't bleeding, made sure I wasn't dead. He said, tomorrow he's going to the gym. He's going to learn to fight, get out of this crazy stuff. And I went to the gym Wednesday, had my first fight that Saturday.
Wow.
I didn't win, but I gained a love for the sport, and I boxed from 76 until 2007, my last fight with Chad.
I didn't realize that you are from Atlanta, right? The Atlanta area. And you mentioned the Omni. That's where they had so many classic wrestling bouts. I'm a fanatic. Not as big as I was back then, but that 90s, 2000s era, late 80s, that was me 1,000%. I can remember WCW at the Omni all the time. NWA at the Omni all the time. That was one of the meccas of professional wrestling at one time.
I loved wrestling back then. Those days, I remember, going wrestling with my grandfather. And I got, in Hateful, which was right there south of Atlanta. a lot of the wrestlers lived there. I'd see them in the bank. I remember Rock Hunter was one of the managers of the wrestlers. I went over to him and I took his cigar and I put it on the floor and I crushed it with my foot. And I said, "You're lucky I don't take that cigar and shove it up your butt." As a 6-year kid.
That's awesome. There's a boatload of stories about. Is there an Omni Hotel near there? Or is there a hotel near the Omni?
There's an Omni Hotel now. It's the Phillips Arena. Now when I talk about it, I'm like the Omni. That's where I went.
A lot of business go down in that hotel on the professional wrestling side. So yeah, I didn't mean to derail the conversation, but to get back into the boxing realm, about how many amateur fights did you have?
250.
Wow. You said at the age of 9, 8?
6.
6 years old, amateur boxing until what age?
6 until 1990. I turned 20, and Lou Duva had me up at the training camp with Pernell Whitaker because he saw me fight. Evander did an exhibition at the Golden Gloves in Atlanta, and Lou Duva saw me fight, and he said, "You remind me of somebody." I said, "Who's that?" He said, "Evander Holyfield." I said, "Oh." I said, "We came out of the same gym." So, yeah, of course. And so I went up to train with Pernell Whitaker. Next thing you know, Lou Duva then wanted to sign me to a contract and get me fighting professionally. And so I called Evander and told Evander about it. He said, "Send me the contract." So I sent him the contract. He looked it over, called me back and said, "Don't sign that contract. You ain't got no options. And, that's a terrible contract." He wanted me to stay in the amateur to try for the Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
But like the Duvas would tell me, my style of fighting was not made for the Olympics. I was not a point puncher. I was a guy who'd come out there and bang you in the body and then take you out.
How did that transition end up going? Obviously, big name in boxing, Lou Duva, God rest his soul. I actually got a chance to meet him in Biloxi. It was one of Layla Ali's fights at the Coliseum in Biloxi, and he was sitting right next to Sam Peter. And at the time, I was 350 some odd pounds, and he said, "Hey Sam, that's your next opponent." I was like, "You don't have enough money in the world to get me in the ring with Samuel Peter. Sorry, that is not happening."
Duva was a good guy. I mean, like I say, he did a lot for a lot of fighters, and but I really enjoyed working with Georgie Benton. The brilliance of Georgie Benton, the way he thought about things, and taught me to actually box. I have respect for Lou Duva, but all Lou kept telling me was use a jab, use a jab, use a jab, use a jab. Georgie would explain to me why I needed to use the jab and how I needed to box and, learn to be defensive, at the same time be offensive.
Ended up turning pro on the Holyfield team. Is that accurate?
He was my manager.
Okay.
My first fight was out in Lake Tahoe on the undercard to Pernell Whitaker, Meldrick Taylor, and Hector Camacho. Triple threat.
What a way to start.
Well, it would have been if I'd have won, but I lost. I didn't know anything about the altitude. I got out there 3 days before the fight. The altitude got me. I'm a Georgia boy, so I didn't know anything about altitude. And I got out there, I was hitting the guy, bah, 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 bah. And then all of a sudden the second round come in, and I was like, and that boy, he smiled because that's where he was living and training. He's like, oh. And my nose, I swear I got this pretty nose.
That's what happens when you got that much experience in the ring. I ventured out to Colorado a couple of times, and I walked into a store, and they had the canned air. I was like, well, what is this for? I'm from South Louisiana. And quickly walking up a flight of stairs, I understood, this altitude's a little different than what I'm used to.
Yeah, it's crazy. I thought it was just me, and then I saw Evander training out there one time to get ready for a fight, and he was gassed out after the second round too. So I said, "Oh, okay." So it's not just a me thing; it's an everybody thing.
Having such a vast amateur experience, like you said, over 250 fights, and getting into the professional ranks and losing that first fight, what's going through your head? Like, it's got to be mentally taxing, right?
Mentally, boxing, I've always been one of these people that win, lose, draw. I just wanted to give my best. And that's what I came to do. No matter whether I was fighting guys in their hometown, whether I was fighting guys in Vegas or Atlantic City, I just wanted to give my best. I hated fighting in my hometown because if I was fighting a guy and he didn't want to fight, he wanted to run, I felt like it was making me look bad. So I would wind up getting hit with shots that I shouldn't have got hit with because I was trying to make something happen.
Fighting at home, I don't think people have enough appreciation for what goes into that, because even though you may not be selling tickets or selling or selling the show, people are coming to you for that type of stuff, and you may be selling tickets. You may be more of a promoter rather than a fighter. Whenever you're in those type of situations, that could be rough and take you out of your game real quick.
The stress of putting on fights, because I helped my dad do some of the fights, because my dad was trying to help promote boxing in the area, along with promoting my career, and I hated it because, like, say, everybody called me up. Hey, can I get tickets to the fight? Hey, can you give me tickets to the fight? I'm like, how do you think we get paid?
Yeah, exactly. I can remember being in some of those situations where so actually where my house is now, we held fights a street over, right? And that's like the main community center in our area. And we held a string of fights back in 2005 to 2010, I believe the time area was. And I would tell my guys, look, at noon, take your phones off. Like, we're done. We're not dealing with that close to the fight. And I felt like that was a huge help. Homer, going through your professional career, at what point was there a certain fight or a certain moment that you said, I'm going to be a contender here and I'm going to do some damage in this game?
I always felt that I was going to make a name for myself. I carry my father's name, so I wanted to make my father known and make myself known as well. I always believed that I had what it took to get to the top. Now, whether or not I actually could, I didn't understand, like most fighters, I didn't understand the business of boxing.
Right.
I understand how to box. I can fight. But there's a whole other side, the business of boxing, that we don't understand. And, it takes a long time and some trials before you really understand that part of boxing.
It's almost you got to make the mistakes to appreciate them and to know exactly what you need to get done. Is there a fight that sticks out to you that, oh man, I remember this night, I was super ready. This was kind of a shining light in the first 15, 20 bouts of your career?
So I would just take fights. Anybody call, I would take a fight. I took one fight on 6 hours notice. I was in shape, especially when I was younger. I stayed in shape. That's when I got older, when I realized, hey, I'm not gonna stay in shape, and then these guys call me and then call me, cancel. I remember fighting this one guy. I was up in New Jersey, and Paul Denard, and I was just banging him. I was trying too hard to knock him out. I couldn't get him, and I wound up losing a close decision to him in his hometown. And then I started remembering, like back in the amateur days, if you fighting in somebody else's hometown, you ain't gonna win unless you knock them out. So then I started trying to knock everybody out, and sometimes it worked, and sometimes it didn't.
Sometimes you go in somebody else's hometown and you see and just looking at results and you see a draw and you're like, oh well, that guy definitely won the fight. If you're getting gifted a draw in somebody else's hometown, that's just as good of a win. Looking at your record, you fought 13 times in 1991. That is almost unheard of.
Well, those were quick fights, 4-round fights, 4 or 6 rounds, something like that. We kept moving up. I was used to the amateurs. We were fighting somewhere every other week.
Right.
It seemed like every other week I was fighting somewhere, whether Alabama, Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina. So I was used to going and fighting. So I didn't change much when I first turned professional. I just tried to put everything into my head, remembering why it got me there, what my goal was to get to. And so I just stayed training hard. If you're trained, but you don't go out there and initiate something, you get lazy and you start to lose it.
Yep.
So I wanted to make sure I was fighting all the time.
A name that may be familiar with some of our local listeners, in December of 1992 at the Cobb County Civic Center, which is the hometown of Big Boss Man. That's what rings my bell in the Cobb County area. WBF super lightweight fought Kenny Weiss, won TKO in round 7. Kenny was a very, very popular fighter out of the Lafayette area, same area that you fought in a couple of times. Do you remember anything specific about that bout?
He cut me. No, Kenny was a good fighter, man. Kenny, just like me, he was outside the ring of boxing. He was fighting all these tough guys and beating them. And then when he got ready to really be at the top of his game, for him to get opportunities to fight for titles and stuff like that, he's past his prime. And it's sad because he was such a great fighter. He hit me with some shots, and I'm like, woof.
He was tough. Some of the big names, obviously, the one that sticks out to everybody is the Hector Camacho fight. That's when I learned who Homer Gibbons was. At that point, can you tell us anything specific about that fight? Maybe some about training camp, some post things.
Fighting Camacho was he was a legend. Like I say, he's one of the first guys that I fought on the undercard when he fought in Lake Tahoe. I was amazed by his speed, his skill. Just a great fighter. I always admired him. Never thought I'd be in the ring, chasing him down. I beat Todd Foster, and this goes to talk about the politics of boxing. I beat Todd Foster on ESPN. Al Bernstein was impressed thoroughly, and then they gave Todd Foster opportunity to fight Camacho before me. How does that happen? That's the politics of boxing. He fought and beat Todd Foster, and then they chose me. So they figured that I was a lightweight coming up to a welterweight to fight, so they were giving me the opportunity. At the same time, they didn't fear my strength. I got in the ring and I hit him with a right hand, and man, after the fight, he come and told me, he goes, "Boy, you hurt me in the third round with that right hand." I said, "Well, I wish you would have told me."
You played it off real well.
He grabbed me, man. In the third round, he grabbed me by my head and pulled me down, and elbowed me in the face. And he did that about 4 or 5 times. I mean, busted my mouth because he'd grab me and boom. And I was like, man, I said, you hit me with an elbow. I said, you didn't even matter like you was trying to throw a punch. He said, oh, I wasn't. I was trying to hit you with an elbow.
And, of course, I'm sure the official did nothing to stop that.
Nothing. They weren't looking to promote me. They were looking to promote Camacho. They were keeping Camacho in the spotlight. So they were going to have a showdown between Camacho and Whitaker. That was kind of the game plan. So they just needed him to look good against me.
Another thing that people don't, the common folk on the street may not understand about the game of boxing, when you go and fight somebody like that, you're fighting on his promoter's card. You're getting brought in literally just to get beat. It shouldn't be a competitive fight. They're showcasing their guy. And then guys like you come in there, make it look extremely rough, and you make a name for yourself rather than possibly for their guy, and then they don't call you anymore unless they sign you.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm seeing the glasses, and my mind is triggering. Where did the pink come from? You got a story behind that?
When I was an amateur, it was red, white, and blue. I mean, stars and stripes, baby. Apollo Creed shorts.
Right.
And then I fought. I remember when I was like 13 and won this state tournament I wasn't supposed to win. And my dad went out and bought me some blue trunks with red stripes and stars on the red stripes. And I thought, man, I was in heaven. Well, when we come out to fight professionally, we needed something that was going to stick in people's minds. And to be honest, I had already chosen the Nature Boy as my name because Ric Flair, the wrestler, I was like, the Nature Boy, Homer Gibbons, that sounds good. And, he come out in a pink robe, fuzzy stuff, and I was like, wow, man. I said, that's what we need to do. So my dad said, yeah. So I came out and started off with just black trunks and a pink stripe. And then it then got to be a pink tux, or a pink suit. I wanted to be the best dressed fighter in the world.
Well, if you taken after Ric Flair, I got to tell you, I respected you a lot coming into this, but knowing that you got that Ric Flair lineage on some of the outfits that you wore, I got even more respect for you because, in my opinion, he's the greatest of all time, one of the best entertainers that the world has ever seen.
I got to hang out with him one time. We were going over at the Ramada Inn in Atlanta, right by the airport. I got to hang out with a lot of the wrestlers, and I was talking to Rick. I was letting him know that I'm the Nature Boy in boxing. He goes, oh, yeah, cool. And next thing you know, he goes away, right? And I'm like, oh man, I was gonna get his autograph and stuff. And they're like, oh, he'll be back. Dustin Rose, I was hanging out with Dustin Rose, and he said he'll be back. He went upstairs with 2 women. Comes back, has his robe on, right? His pink robe. He's out there on the dance floor. Opens his pink robe. He ain't got nothing on. Nothing.
I've heard some of those stories before.
Woo, baby. Woo. Oh, that's my man.
I look, I could see it. I could definitely see that happening just from hearing some of the stories, even some of the things he's doing now at the age he is now. Yeah, that definitely fits what I would believe he did outside of that. So talking about hanging out with folks, Hector Camacho, he came down to New Orleans, I want to say, man, probably a couple years, and he had hooked up with a promoter in our area that I was friends with, and I got to hang out with him a couple times. Same thing, barroom type of scene. He wasn't afraid to put him down. I can tell you that. He told us some crazy stories about some of the things that he's got to experience just in life in general.
He was a good guy. I mean, I really liked him. We got to hang out later on, like in '96 or '97 or something like that. We were doing autograph signings and had a promotion company, Fight Night, putting on fights here, and me and Camacho hung out, and we laughed and we joked around, and he's a good guy. You know, I loved him. You know, most all the guys that I fought, I really loved them. Have a bunch of respect for them. But that doesn't mean to change when I get in the ring. We're both trying to hurt each other.
Yep.
People say, "How can you do that?" I'm like, "It's like playing basketball, except for it's a little painful."
It's a lot about respect, and again, people outside of the ring may not understand that, but you're trying to beat the living hell out of each other while you're in there. But as soon as it's over, that's why I see a lot of these guys hugging and just showing that respect post-fight, because look, you just went in there and did the same thing as me, and one of us is better after that. Definitely understand that. Throughout your career, what do you feel has been the most meaningful fight to you personally? Maybe not on a national level that people understand, but to you personally, what sticks out throughout your professional career?
There's so many fights that were great fights. I loved them all. Even the ones that I lost, you know, like when I fought Jean Pascal up in Canada. They got me up there under false pretenses. And then when I was there, it's like all of a sudden they threw me into a fight. Got me up there in Canada. I can't do anything about it. I only have a plane ticket to go back, and it's a couple $1,000 to get out of there. You know, it's like, next thing you know, I'm fighting Jean Pascal.
So what did they bring you in there for originally?
To work with Jean Pascal, because he was going to be fighting a guy just like me. It's funny because he was going to be fighting me.
Yeah, how convenient was that? Jeez, man, the strange things that happen in the world of boxing. That I've never heard that story, and I appreciate you sharing that. Let's go along with that. What is the strangest situation that you've ever been brought in for a fight or dealt with in the sport?
I remember I took a fight on 6 hours' notice. There was a local promoter here in Georgia. They called me up because they knew I was in shape. I had just had a fight or whatever. And they had a young guy that had fought a bunch of tough man stuff. He was supposed to be a tough guy. And they were like, well, we got this Homer Gibbons. He's, you know, and this guy was younger than me too. And he said, well, this guy, he's a little older. And he's like, it doesn't matter to me. I ain't scared of anybody. Well, then all of a sudden, they called me up to come up there. And so I'm heading up that way. And people started telling, you fight Homer Gibbons? He's a former champion. He's like a bad dude. Well, when we got in the ring, the guy's eyes were just like, bugged out, because he was like, because he looked at me and he could tell I was serious. He got scared to death. And like I say, so I went out there and took him out with body shot. That's one of those things where in boxing where, like I say, I was just at the right place at the right time. I could take the fight. He probably shouldn't have been in the ring with me. I was better than him.
Sometimes when you open your mouth, you get what you deserve.
That's the facts.
You could really do something in the sport of boxing by just staying in shape if that's what you're looking to do.
There was one fight that I had with a guy, and this was early in my career, Jackie something. But I knocked him out. Like, I knew that I was outclassing the guy. I hit him in the body. I was trying to take him out to the body because I didn't want him in the head. And I hit him in the body. He fell down. He got up. He was pissed because I knocked him down. He came back out. So then I said, okay, boom, body again. Dropped him again. He got up. I said, okay, I'm going to hit him on the chin. One good shot on the chin, this is going to be over. So I faked the body shot, come upstairs. Boom, the fight ended. My family, my uncles knew his father. The next day the guy was going to work, got in a car accident, and he's gone, passed away. My uncle calls me and says, hey, you know the guy you fought last night? I said, yeah. He said, he died this morning. That's all I get. I was ready to quit boxing. It's not worth it. It's not worth somebody's life. And then finally, like a day or so later, they called me and told me what had happened. He was hit, T-boned in a car. But I was like, man, for a day and a half, I was just crushed. I was like, I was ready to quit boxing because it wasn't worth somebody's losing their life.
Right, thinking that you had something to do with that.
Yeah, I mean, 'cause the last I knew, I hit him with a good shot. I mean, it was right on the money. And he went down, and it took a little while to get up. So I thought, oof.
There's a heavyweight out of Mobile, Alabama, that one of his punches killed a man in the ring, and I was there that night, and I was out for a little bit, and I could only imagine, obviously what the fighter that's no longer here, their family, what they have to deal with, but the fighter that caused that, and he is and was a really, really good person. And it's just, I guess it's just part of the sport that something may happen. You're never ready for that, but the possibility is always there. And I can remember it was a Friday night, and there was a show at the same place on a Saturday. It was at a casino, and show went on. Like, that wasn't even the last fight. And I was thinking to myself, this doesn't feel right going on after, because the individual passed the next day. I was like, it doesn't feel right going on knowing that happened last night in the same place.
That's what people don't understand. We get in there, fighters, we get in there and we battle it out for your entertainment. But, realistically, we're putting our life on the line. You don't know when God's going to call your number. But and there's so many different things that play into that. Were you physically ready to fight? Do you have something going on? I was missing a bone in my neck, and I should have never fought, according to my doctors. But I was headstrong and stubborn and fought for 30 years. And then once I even found out about it in 1995, I came back in 98 and fought till 2007.
That means you're very tough, Homer. I'll tell you that.
Crazy.
So talking about coming back in that 95 time frame, and then obviously back in 98. In 95, 94 time frame, a lot of fights in our area, in the Biloxi, Louisiana area. What was the link to that and getting you to come fight down in Louisiana, Mississippi? I
fought down there a couple of times. I fought in Louisiana a few times. I love the Louisiana people, man. They were great. They were fight fans, so they like to see fights. And then, getting to fight Chad Broussard, my brother, I love him to death. People want to talk bad to me about him. Look, let me tell you something, okay? That man is a man of respect. I love him to death. That's like after we fought and he won the title when we fought, he won the title. He didn't have to fight me again. He didn't have to. He could have did like everybody else and said, nah, I'm not fighting that guy again. It was too close. But no, he gave me an opportunity. I have nothing but respect for Chad and love him to death. We still talk every now and then, and we check up on one another. And it's funny because I'm like that with a bunch of different fighters that I fought. I always wanted to be your friend, And but at the same time, we get in the ring, I wanted to hurt you. And Chad wanted to hurt me too. But, we love one another, and we were brothers in Christ. So whatever happened, happened.
Let's frame this up. And I know a lot of the parties that are involved. Unfortunately, Mr. Dawes Sims, he passed away a number of years ago. A really good friend of mine. He was the promoter of note on those fights. Him and I got into it after you guys fought the first time. I thought you won the fight. I'll tell Chad the same. I said it that night, and Dahl and I kind of got into it. And he was a friend of mine. Framing this up, 3-fight ordeal. Chad Broussard down in Lafayette. Chad was making his comeback at the time. You were in a similar type of position. first fight was February 2006. That was at the Blackham Coliseum. I don't know if I've ever seen as many people in that place as they had that night. Tell us how that fight came to fruition.
I fought a guy, Moyes Martinez, here in Atlanta. We helped promote the card. I carried the guy.
That's a good guy, too.
But I was outboxing. Pop, 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 pop. And I probably could have stopped him because there was 8 fights on the card, 6 knockouts, first round knockouts. Pop, pop. So I'm like, people paid to see people box, man. I mean, they paid for a show, and you guys are ruining it by not going out there working, making it happen. So I took Moyes the distance and outboxed him and beat him to death. And he hit me with 1 shot, I hit him with 5. Pow, 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 pow. All of a sudden, we were both ranked in this IBU. Me and Chad Broussard, he was ranked higher than me. They're looking for a fighter. Chad fought Moyes, and he knocked him out.
I'll tell you, Homer, I was there. Chad lost to him as well. He won the return fight. Chad got hit with a body shot, and that was at one of the big casinos in the Lake Charles area. That was a barn burner for sure.
They look at that fight, and they see me. I'm ranked in the top 10, so they have an opportunity to fight somebody. So Chad gives me opportunity to fight for the title. We in his hometown. I thought I won the fight. I'm a realist. I understand that if I don't, knock you out in your hometown, I'm probably not going to win. So I went in there with that mentality, and I would never try to be disrespectful. I was like, my corner was like, you can go and get out, the first fight, they're like, just go and get out of the ring, we're going to walk in the back. I said, no, let's let them announce it. He said, well, they're going to get a fight to him. I said, hey, that's part of the game. I don't want to disrespect Chad. Let's give him the opportunity to raise his hands and let us shake his hands, and they say, you think he'll fight you again? I'm like, no, I wouldn't fight me again. For him to give me an opportunity to fight again, like I told him, I said, I've got nothing but respect for him. I love the man to death, have and always will.
You mentioned, and I have not even thought about this guy this was 06, this was 20 years ago. Don Lewis, if I'm not mistaken, you ended up on a TV.
Judge Joe Brown with a suit against Mr. Don Lewis. Now, if people don't know who Don Lewis is, he's an interesting human being. I can tell that, and I'm going to leave it at that. Tell us what happened there, and how was that experience on Judge Joe Brown? I came back from fighting Chad. So I won the fight. I stopped Chad in the 4th round. I sent my uncle to go get the belt. And Don said I was never going to get the belt, ever. And my uncle was afraid to come back to the room and tell me, And I was like, what's up? And he said, you ain't never getting the belt. What do you mean I ain't never getting the belt? I said, they got 2 copies. One that's the champion's, and then the other one's mine. He said, you ain't never wearing the belt. Well, me and Don, when I first started going to come back to boxing, 97, I was gearing up for it. They were looking to promote fights. So we resurrected the IBU, the title IBU. I helped promote that. I'm a visionary. Okay, I have the vision for stuff. I just don't have the follow through to make it happen. Don had the opportunity to make it happen. So I was like, yeah, I was happy for him. Wasn't upset.
What was the reason that he gave? Was it the sanctioning fees?
That's what he said. But I was there, and they didn't pay for the title. I saw Dole try to hand him a check. He goes, I don't want your money. Homer's not wearing my belt. You find some interesting people in boxing. Later on, we connected, and he apologized, which was good. I got my belt after going on Judge Joe Brown.
Those shows legit? So yeah. It worked. Like his ruling stood.
You have to file the case in your hometown first. And then once you file the case in your hometown, you send it to Joe Brown, and they either accept it or don't accept it. Once they accept it, then they pay for your travel and your lodging, and whatever the decision is, they take care of.
I've always wanted to ask that question because I never knew. And I totally forgot that even happened in your career. But just talking about Don Lewis, seeing the glasses, I'm like, oh, I forgot that happened. That happened as well. I could tell you where your belt was that night. It was at a gentleman's establishment in Lafayette, down the road from the hotel we were staying in.
Why did somebody invite me?
I did. I just got pictures of it. I saw Don doing that, but that's an interesting individual. She tried to put together a all-white basketball league at one time. I remember that. He's got some ideas. You're right.
I'm not one of these people that hold grudges. We got on the elevator at the hotel. He was staying at the same hotel as I was, and we were coming from the fight, getting on the elevator. He was leaving, going out with you guys.
No, don't paint me in that picture. I knew where he was. I was in the hotel bar with Doyle and Chad.
Well, I came walking into the elevator, and he saw me. He's like, I was like, it's okay. I was like, I had no anger towards you. I mean, I was upset because I deserved to win. I deserved the belt, but I knew in time, like I say, and I was with a management team at the time. And I was trying to tell them, they're like, man, just forget about it. I'm like, no, I ain't gonna forget about it. So my friend who worked for a filming company up there in California said, hey, Judge Joe Brown would take the case if you filed for a case. I said, really? You think he would? He goes, oh, yeah, most definitely. I already talked to him about it. So I said, okay, let's do it.
How did you get Don to agree to go do that? He's just, he enjoyed the limelight enough?
Oh, absolutely. Negative publicity is all publicity.
Wow. You're bringing back some memories of some great times for me. Let's move forward. We fought Chad Broussard in February. You left Lafayette, no title that night, and thinking that you probably wouldn't get that return match. How did that second bout come to life?
That would be a Chad question. When they called me and said that, hey, Chad wants to, do a rematch. And I said, really? Are you serious? So I got in the gym and I was putting it on everybody, and they sent me, they said, hey, could you send us a video? And so I told them in the video, either you're going to quit or I'm going to kill you.
So that's how that went down?
I'm not for certain how everything went on Chad's end. Chad's a man of respect. I love him. I think he wanted to prove to everybody that he won. And so he said, I'll fight him again. He just didn't realize that when I come the second time, I come with a, all or nothing mentality. Either you're going to quit or I'm going to kill you. There was no other way.
So if I remember correctly, and I have not watched the clips in a while, body shot, put him down?
Well, I knocked him down in the second round with the right hand. And then the fourth round, I came at him, I hit him with the right hand, and I hit him in the body. And he dropped to his knees, wasn't getting back up. I love Chad Broussard. I've had some guys that talk bad about him, because he lost a fight up early in his career on a main events card.
That was Sean B. Mitchell, if I remember correctly.
First of all, he was fighting a decent fighter, okay, a good fighter. Second of all, the nerves, all the nerves that goes into this fighting, you're coming in as the opponent, and Chad knew that. People try to talk bad about Chad because of that one fight, and I'm like, look, man, first of all, have you laced up the gloves and got in the ring? Secondly, don't talk to me about boxing if you ain't never stepped in the ring. It's easier to be sit on the couch and talk about how good you could be. It's a different story when you get in the ring, you're getting punched in the mouth. It changes your perspective.
What's Mike Tyson's famous quote? Everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the face or punched in the mouth.
Yeah.
Homer, you were bringing back some awesome memories, man. Chad's going to call in.
Awesome.
July 31st, 24. That was the last time we talked. Wow.
It feels like yesterday, right?
Correct. I thought I was going to make a living in boxing doing matchmaking, and Chad was one of my biggest supporters and just a person that helped me out so much. I was young. I was born in 83, so we're talking about, 06. So I thought I knew everything, and I realized later in life that I knew nothing. But when I would do my shows here, Chad would always give me a spot in his cars, and we would exchange, and he would come on the radio with us on fight days. And I remember a quote that he said, you need to come to these fights. If you got feet that could walk or a car that could drive, you have no excuse not to be at these fights tonight. I always remember that line.
It's crazy when you're promoting boxing. That's one of the things I thought about with Louisiana, because they had a great crowd. The night that we fought, me and him fought the first time, that place was packed. The Blackham Coliseum was packed. And then even the second fight, there was a good crowd. Like in Georgia, man, Georgia's never been a fight town. Atlanta has never been a fight town. And I don't understand. I mean, even when Evander fought, Von Bean, they gave away tickets to get people in the stands.
3 fights, 26 rounds, a rivalry that became a friendship, and completely unplanned. Chad Broussard just joined the conversation.
What's up, Homer?
Chad
What's
Broussard
up,
in the house.
We talking about Chad Broussard, Homer Gibbons 4.
I'm promoting it. Let's go.
What's up, man? What y'all doing?
We talking a little boxing.
I've been on Homer. Him and I have been talking about 5 years about doing this, and we never got it done, and today was the day. We're telling the story. We at fight 2, so we could backtrack a little bit, Chad, since you're here. What's your fondest memories about fight 1 and how that went down? We talked about how big the crowd was. We talked about our guy Doyle. We talked about Don Lewis. I think we hit all the points, but I know you're going to have some extra stuff to talk about.
I thought that was a great night, like for the city of Lafayette, for the people there, because they had almost 17,000 people there. That was a really good night. The second fight, unfortunately, it didn't turn out as planned, but like as I've preferenced to you before, Homer and I, we snap each other. Well, not snap, but we'll text each other or send it on Facebook or whatever. We stay in communication and talking. I always pray for him because I know he's a godly man and I know he's praying for me.
Absolutely.
We talked about that first fight, and I mentioned I don't know if I've ever seen that many people at the Blackham Coliseum for any event, much less a professional boxing event. We also talked about how difficult it is to be that hometown fighter / promoter and have those dual roles. I know you lived that life multiple times. Tell us how difficult that is.
Man, listen, dude, it got so extremely depressing in the end that I just couldn't do it no more, man. You find a good place to have fights. It's viable. You can make a little bit of money. I ain't never made no $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 on no fight. But you scratch and make a little $3,000, $5,000 on a fight. That's all good. Man, look, it got so bad. You got to pay for hotel rooms. You got to pay for meals. You got to pay for travel. You got to pay the purses. You got to pay the commission. You got to pay the taxes. I'm like, dude, it just wasn't even worth it anymore.
You did it the right way. I've had guys fight on your cards multiple times. I was telling Homer, we used to kind of trade off when we were both doing it, but for a time, probably a 4 or 5 year period, you were the only promoter doing fights in the state.
That was a cool thing, and it was, you know what I mean? And I added so many amenities to the show, like the lights, the truss system. I had little like light up lights that ran up the pole and stuff. I just tried to make, a spectacle. And people just don't appreciate it, man. You know what I mean? One of my last fights, they had a guy from Baton Rouge fighting on the card. The guy, I sent him 100 tickets. He told me he was going to sell them all. Well, when it was time to pay him, I'm like, okay, where's your tickets at? And he's like, well, I left my tickets at home. I said, well, you ain't going to get paid if you left your tickets at home. And he's like, oh, no, I'm getting paid. I said, well, we either going to swing or you know what I mean? It ain't happening. It was horrible, bro. He had to drive all the way back to Baton Rouge and come back. He sold like 40 tickets, so he returned the other 60 tickets, and I paid him. I'm like, try to be as straight up with everybody as you can. Be good to people. Be good to the fighters. A lot of them will just take advantage of you.
Yeah, that might have been your problem. You did it the right way.
Yeah.
Well, Chad is a man of respect, and that's one of the things I love about him. He tries to give the fans what they want to see. Chad, you didn't have to fight me the second fight. or the third fight. You know,
Right.
you could have walked away the first time we fought and said, "I won the fight. It's over. There's no rematch. There's no rematch clause. It's over." But this man gave me opportunity, and it's like I say, I've got nothing but love and respect for him. And if people talk bad about him, you ain't gonna do it to me, cause I'll bust him out.
That goes likewise, brother.
We were talking about the second fight, and Homer couldn't really remember why that second fight happened. Can you shed some light on how that came to light?
I tell you, after the first fight, Dahl, they was looking for an opponent for me for the set for another fight. He just came up to me and said, "You know, you wasn't at your best your first fight against Homer. How about if we do it again?" And I said, "Yeah, that sounds good. Let's do it." The first fight was kind of lackadaisical. You know what I mean? I'm not saying any harm to Homer or myself, but like I was cautious. You know what I mean? I'm glad we fought the second and third fight, man. That kind of solidified and healed both of us and helped both of us.
Obviously, the third fight, each you guys won one, so you had to have that third bout. Is that why that third fight took place?
I've fought a lot of people 3 times. Well, not a lot of people, but I fought several people a couple times. Honestly, bro, like Homer is a gem, man. He's like a gem, like a diamond gem, like or emerald. You know what I mean? He's a great human being, man. Like I told you, we stay in contact and we talk to one another. We do things. Such a great guy, man.
And that's the way I feel about Chad. You know, people think that, you know, I don't like him. That's why I fought him 3 times. No, I love the guy, man. People try to talk bad about you, Chad, because that first fight that you lost on the Duva undercard. And man, I said, let me tell you something. First of all, you ain't never had gloves on, so don't give me nothing. Don't tell me nothing. The man had 50-something wins. You don't go in there and win 50 times by not fighting nobody.
Right.
I said, even if you do fight somebody that's nobody, okay, everybody has an opportunity when you step in that ring. I know because I stepped in the ring out of shape, thinking that I could overcome things, and then lost a fight or
Yeah,
two.
you are right. What, 1991? What was that dude from Biloxi? Man, I can't remember his name. The Biloxi bomber.
91?
Yeah.
It's a little before my time.
You was just young.
91, I was 8 years old, bro.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, you're right. That's way before your time. I'm sorry. But look, Rusty Derwin. Rusty Derwin. Dude, if he hit you with that right hand, I ain't never seen nobody stand up from him. They put him in a fight with a guy from Lake Charles. The guy from Lake Charles was like 5 wins, 10, 12 losses. They took the fight just like a tune-up fight. Dude, he went there and he knocked him stone cold out in the first round. He knocked Rusty Derwin out in the first round.
Was that Richard Gobert?
Exactly who it is. Yep.
Hey, I fought Richard Gobert.
I was about to say there's a correlation right there. So that looks like that was in May of 1990 at the Landmark Hotel in Metairie.
Yep. Metairie. Yep. You are correct.
Well, I have computer assistance, so I'm not that smart, Chad.
I can see you looking, bro.
So, Chad, we're not going to keep you too long, my guy. We definitely appreciate you jumping on. But tell us before you go, what is your fondest memory, aside from meeting Homer and developing a great friendship, about that 3-fight ordeal that you guys had?
Probably just the camaraderie we had. Because, like, after the first fight, not too much. But after the second fight and the third fight, man, we was, like, talking after the fight. You know what I mean? Hanging out after the fight. Like, doing things. I just love him, man. You know what I mean? He's got some Jesus in him, so it's all good.
I tell people all the time because they can't understand how I talk about you, and I talk about you with such respect and love. And they're like, yeah, but you got in the ring trying to beat his head in. I said, he tried to beat my head in first.
You're exactly right. Kind of like a paramount moment, you know what I mean? Like, Homer is, I love him, bro. If he needs something in Atlanta, I'll drive out to Atlanta.
Same thing with me coming to Louisiana.
Amen to that, bro.
We definitely appreciate you. I haven't talked to you in way too long. Good hearing from you. We got to get you on one of these. Let me know whenever you got some time. You got an hour to kill. We'll jump on and talk about some Chad Broussard history of boxing. That could be some fun.
Give me a holler anytime, brother.
Will do. Thank you, Chad.
All right. Hey, Homer, take care, brother.
All right, brother. Love you.
Love you too, man.
That was awesome. Did not anticipate getting Chad Broussard on, but it's always a good day when you get to talk to Chad.
You see the respect that we have for one another, and the respect that we have. I mean, we both are like that with probably all the guys we fought. You know, I don't think that I dislike anybody that I fought. I have such a great respect for them. But you know, when we step in the ring, the bell rings. I'm coming to hurt you.
You guys fought a total of 26 rounds. And just to hear the respect and the love you guys both have for each other is a sign of good things for humanity in general, not only for the sport of boxing. Coming up on like an hour, so we'll start putting a bow on this. The last fight with Chad Broussard, after that, it was no more professional boxing for Homer Gibbons. Was that just hey, I'm done? Can't do this anymore? What went into that thought process of no longer fighting in the professional ranks?
My wife talked to me when I came home, and she said, you know, you have to beat the fighter. You have to fight the fighter. You have to fight the referees, and you have to fight the judges. You have to fight the guy with the belts. I mean, maybe God isn't using this the way you think He's using it. And then there was the fact that my son was born. I was having a son, and I wanted to be there for my children. I wanted to be there mentally, physically, and spiritually. So I said, I've got to walk away. I've got to walk away, and I feel like I've done everything in the sport that I wanted to do. So I can say that I've done it all, and I can walk away with peace in my heart.
We're sitting here on August 7th, 2026. Are you still tied in some way to the sport?
I work with people who have Parkinson's, teaching Parkinson boxing. One of the things I do. And I've got a gym here in Griffin where I teach kids and adults. And I still get in the ring. At 56, I still get in the ring and throw. And the kids will tell you, how can you move like that? You're old. I said, I was doing this before you were even thought about.
We are going to end something that we always do on this segment, a rapid fire, quick Q&A. It's some not off the wall questions, but it's a little bit off of your career and your accomplishments. So quick answers. There'll be about 8 of these. Who is your favorite boxer ever?
Hagler.
Do you consider him the greatest pound for pound fighter ever?
You go back to Sugar Ray Robinson and stuff like that, but Hagler was just somebody I love to watch. I have all the respect in the world for him and Evander. You know, I love Evander as well. But those two, Evander and Hagler, those are my all-time favorites.
I could tell the style of fighting that you like. Evander Holyfield, was it Kawhi? What?
Dwight Muhammad Kawhi.
Oh Lord, that was a battle. That was a battle. That fight still reigns true as one of the best ever.
Evander was in some great fights. I mean, with Kawhi, with Dokes. I mean, just I love to watch him be a warrior. You know, and that's what I wanted to be.
That he was. Who is the best trainer in the history of boxing?
I love George Benton. Just the way George took me under his wing, and I remember when I was fighting in Atlanta, in Virginia, and he came out of the dressing room. He's supposed to be back in the back with Purnell. Came out to the dressing room and got in the corner and said, "Stop trying to knock this guy out. Just box and have fun." Remember what I said? Have fun. And I went out there and was boxing. Next thing you know, I knocked the guy out.
Best boxing movie of all time?
Rocky.
Good answer. Really good answer. What is your personal favorite walkout song?
I always came out to, Christian music. But, like when I came out to fight Chad Broussard, Not Ashamed. I'm not ashamed to speak the name of Jesus Christ. I still love that kind of stuff, but I would go back to some of the stuff in the 70s. You know, I like 70s.
I was thinking you were going with the Ric Flair entrance theme. You never used that?
Yeah. I never used the Ric Flair theme, although I thought about it.
Last one. If you could fight anybody from any era that you did not fight, who would that be?
I wanted to fight Gaddy.
That would have been a good one.
I was scheduled to fight Gaddy back in 2000. We had worked together when I was up in New York in Gleason's gym, and I outboxed him. So we were supposed to fight him, and then they found out I beat Carlos Alberto Martinez and ended his career. So they pulled out of the fight, and then they made it look like the New York Boxing Commission was pulling the fight because of my neck. So they were saving me from getting hurt.
More politics.
Oh yeah.
More politics.
Paid me money to back out though, so
that's a positive thing. Last question of our time here, and we'll let you wrap it up. In 50 years from now, what is one thing that you hope people say about Homer Gibbons?
I hope they mention my name with respect and good memories. I've always tried to be a nice guy, but at the same time, know that everything I did was to be there for my kids. I wanted to be a good dad. I wanted to be a good father, a good husband, good brother. I hope that's how people remember me.
Well, I know you got two people in me and Chad that is definitely going to have that going for you. We're going to go ahead and wrap this thing up. We appreciate you coming on the Group Chat Podcast, Inside the Ring, Episode 2. It was a hell of a conversation. We got some folks in that we did not think that we would get on today. We're grateful for Chad Broussard calling in. Homer, the pleasure is all mine. I do regret not doing this when we said we was going to do it the original time, but anytime that you want to come on and talk some boxing, you are more than welcome, my guy.
Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it.
The Group Chat Podcast.
Every fighter has a record. Every fight has a result. But the stories that matter most are the ones that live beyond the final bell. This has been Inside the Ring, where we honor the fighters, preserve the history, and give the stories behind the fights one more round. From all of us at the Group Chat Podcast, thanks for listening. And until next time, keep your hands up.
And as always, go Tarps, and God bless America.
Hammer.
I was waiting for Tommy to chime in and do the